she humiliated the waiter, unaware he owned the hotel. They say pride comes before a fall. But what happens when the one you look down on holds the very key to your destiny? In a world where wealth defines respect and appearance determines worth, a young woman walks into a luxury hotel with high heels, a proud heart, and no clue that the humble waiter serving her with silent eyes owns every chandelier above her head. This is not just a story of love or revenge. It is a story of hidden power, second chances, and the sweet sting of karma. Buckle up, because what starts as a moment of humiliation becomes a journey of truth, heartbreak, and an ending you'll never see coming. The clinking of champagne glasses echoed through the elegant walls of the Dan Ritchie Hotel, a brand-new luxury haven nestled in the heart of World Bank housing estate in the city of Owerri. The hotel stood like a majestic titan, its a lavish piece of architectural edifice standing tall, arresting the gaze of every passerby. A flawless blend of gold and glass, it radiated elegance and wealth, yet within its high walls, an extraordinary test of character was quietly unfolding. Inside, marble floors gleamed like liquid crystal and mirrors. Golden chandeliers shimmered like suspended stars above. Luxury perfumed the air, notes of oud, bergamot, and fresh money. Guests flooded in, celebrities, politicians, oil tycoons, and fashion influencers. The air smelt of affluence and echoed money and power. It was a perfect meeting spot for the high and mighty. It was the official launch night. An invitation-only gala graced by celebrities, senators, ambassadors, ex-governors, oil tycoons, crypto kings, and reality TV influencers. Designer suits and expensive gowns flowed. Imported wines poured. Cameras flashed. This was the climax of elegance in southeastern Nigeria. Among the sharply dressed guests, there was a man who stood out, not because of what he wore, but because of what he didn't. He looked calm-dressed in a simple black and green waiter's uniform. Name tag, Daniel. Humble. Quiet. Focused. He moved gracefully through the crowd, balancing a silver tray of canapés with the precision of a seasoned butler. No one knew he was anything more than staff. And that was exactly what he wanted. He was a waiter. His name? Daniel Dikeocha. Nobody knew that beneath that humble uniform stood the real owner of the highly adored hotel. He owned everything. The hotel, the land, the luxury spa, the wine collection, the brand name. But he didn't want to announce it. Not yet. He wanted to observe. To see people for who they were when they believed he was no one. He had built this empire in silence, and now he was listening to the noise of others. He moved past a group of influencers snapping selfies and politicians laughing too loudly. He paused briefly to help a guest respectfully, an elderly woman, to his seat while the woman's family ignored her, too busy taking photos. Daniel's eyes scanned the room, not for elegance, but for humanity. He wasn't just observing the event, he was observing souls. The way they treated those who served them. The way they spoke when they thought no one important was listening. That, to him, was the true luxury test. Then came the sound that shifted the atmosphere, the sharp clack of hard-bottomed heels. It was no other than Tracey Obioma, confidently stepping into the hall like a queen claiming her throne. Daughter of a former minister. Raised in the corridors of power. Tracey grew up in a mansion with marble floors and maids who bowed. Her father's political life came with unspoken lessons. Status mattered more than kindness, and appearance was everything. She was sent to the best private schools where image reigned supreme, and softness was mistaken for weakness. When her father lost his political seat to a scandal, her family's wealth took a hit. But Tracey learned quickly, if you couldn't have real power, you could at least appear powerful. Social media became her battlefield. She crafted a glittering image, beauty queen, influencer, luxury ambassador. Behind the scenes, she feared irrelevance more than anything. Her arrogance wasn't born out of hate, but insecurity, shaped by a life that told her survival depended on never appearing vulnerable. In her designer jumpsuit, she moved like a goddess used to worship. Flanked by her best friend Bianca and a bodyguard, she entered like royalty. All eyes turned. Bianca, her friend, whispered, "You always know how to make an entrance." Tracey flipped her hair. "They need to know." As they sat down, Her eyes flicked over the decorations, then the people. She whispered to her friend, Bianca. "This place is nice," she said. "But I hope their waiters are trained. I can't stand low-class people breathing near me." Bianca gave a weak laugh. "Relax. This is the Dan Ritchie. They serve senators here. I'm very sure they have well-trained staff." Bianca responded. Just then, Daniel approached them. "Would you care for something to eat or drink, ma'am?" he asked politely. She frowned and glanced at him with disgust, then whispered loudly enough for others to hear. "Are your hands clean? Because I don't eat from people who smell like bus conductors." A cruel laughter erupted from those around her. Bianca winced and tugged on Tracey's arm. "Chill. That's not even funny." Daniel blinked slowly. Then he gave a soft and faintly smile. "Enjoy your evening, ma'am," he said, and walked away without any further word. Inside him, something stirred. He knew that voice, that tone, that cruelty. Then he remembered her face. Tracey Obioma. It had been years since he saw her. She was once the girl who broke his heart and mocked his dreams. Flashback, Orlu, 6 years ago. They were in the same private university. She never recognized him. But he remembered. Daniel was a scholarship student from a poor family, who had big dreams but with a small wallet. He worked multiple odd jobs, cleaning and washing cars after school to make extra money. He tutored secondary school kids during weekends, and worked reception shifts at a local motel not far from the university premises. It was while in the university that he met Tracey. She was a final-year student studying mass communication, always walking with shoulders high. As the daughter of a former minister, Tracey was a rich girl on campus. Bold, beautiful, loud, and cruel. Her favorite pastime, mocking the less privileged and looking down on people with poor background. Daniel helped do her assignments. He explained theories and even helped her write projects for free. But she tossed him like trash because of his background. He liked her, but never said it. Until one day, he gathered the courage. "Tracey," he said nervously, I admire you. Maybe we can hang out sometime." She turned to him, a smirk already forming. "A village boy like you," she sneered. "You think I'd be caught dead with someone who wears the same shoes every day?" Her friends laughed. "I don't even date guys that can't afford a Benz, let alone a common cleaner." "You better collect your faded clothes where you hung them." "Do I look cheap to you?" she rudely questioned. Daniel's cheeks flushed, but he stood firm. "I only asked for friendship. I didn't commit any crime. I may be poor today, but I promise you, one day, I will own hotels. And I won't need your approval." She mocked his ambition of owning a hotel chain someday. "Hotels? You should work in a hotel, not own one," she replied. "You're made for washing towels, not signing contracts." But Daniel never forgot. Instead, he used that humiliation as fuel. He graduated with honors and got a scholarship to study hospitality management abroad. He spent sleepless nights working part-time in luxury resorts while studying abroad, folding towels, observing managers, studying guest behavior, and saving every cent he could. He read voraciously, studied every night, networked humbly, and learned the business of service from the ground up. After his master's program, he interned at a prestigious hotel chain where he developed a groundbreaking guest experience system that caught the eye of investors. Years later he returned to build his empire, quietly and powerfully. With the help of investors, and a small grant from an entrepreneurship initiative, Daniel purchased an abandoned mansion in Owerri. Over the years, he transformed it into the glamour Dan Ritchie Hotel. It wasn't just a hotel, it was his dream, brick by brick. Built with sweat. Funded by faith. And no shortcuts. Later that night, at the official launch night of the hotel, Tracey laughed loudly at her table, waving her champagne glass in exaggerated gestures, tossing casual insults like confetti. Her voice rose above the mellow jazz playing in the background, demanding more ice, sending back wine she hadn't tasted, and barking orders at staff as if they were beneath her. She relished the attention, unaware that every other guest was quietly observing from their seats. Daniel stood from a corner and watched quietly. Bianca leaned in. "Babe, that waiter keeps staring." I think he likes you. Tracey rolled her eyes. Like who? Please. Let him stare. That's the closest he'll get to someone like me. Her laughter rang out like a slap. Guests turned. Bianca, unhappy by the unnecessary scene created by Tracey, kept quiet. Daniel watched and whispered to himself, Tracey will never change. And he left. The next day, upstairs in the private executive boardroom, a group of well-dressed executive board members were seated in a meeting chaired by Daniel. Sir, the launch was a success. Shall we prepare the press release? One of them asked. He nodded. Yes. But not yet. Give it one more day. I want to see how deep the rot goes. Tomorrow will be perfect. What about the influencer, Tracey Obioma? Another questioned. Daniel paused. She'll learn. He responded coldly. The following day, Tracey returned, more polished to see the owner of the hotel whose face the public hadn't seen yet. Rumor had spread that the billionaire owner of Dan Ritchie Hotel was young, single, and mysterious. She came dressed to impress. While she was sitting, a waitress approached her carrying a bottle of red wine she requested, and further passed a message to her. Excuse me, Miss Obioma? The owner has requested a private meeting. He has a luxury spa campaign for you. Tracey's eyes lit up. Lead the way. She was directed to the presidential suite, her heels clicking softly against the polished marble floor. Her eyes widened as they swept across the space, floor-to-ceiling gold-accented drapes, plush velvet chairs, and an oil painting of the Owerri skyline hung over a roaring fireplace. The scent of oud and sandalwood filled the air. She took a slow step forward, absorbing the elegance. She sat down on the velvet chair and calmly waited. For once, she was speechless, awed by luxury that didn't scream, but whispered. Few minutes later, the door opened. Daniel walked in elegantly. Dressed immaculately in a black designer suit that hugged his tall frame, a gold timepiece glittering against his wrist, and eyes as steady as a still ocean, calm, composed, and unreadable. Tracey jolted to her feet, her eyes scanning Daniel in disbelief. "Where's the owner?" she demanded, her voice rising slightly as if trying to suppress the panic threatening to rise. The confidence she walked in with began to slip from her posture like glitter falling off a fading crown. "Right here." Daniel responded, smiling. Tracey froze. Her legs stiffened. The room began to blur. She gasped, You're the... Waiter, are you the owner too?" He sat next to her. "Yes, I am, and you are still the same." She began to stammer. "You can't be the... This is not..." She blinked in confusion. "What game is this? You can't be the owner." "Yes, I am. You mocked me years ago when I had nothing, and again yesterday when you assumed I was nobody. But today, I want to say thank you for giving me the fire to become everything you said I could never be. You have not changed a bit. You insulted me again even yesterday, unaware you were standing on my property. My hotel. My dream. But I just want to say thank you." "Thank you," she echoed. "Yes. You pushed me. And I rose." He responded. She sat frozen, humiliated. Her past had returned with dignity. "This isn't funny," Tracey defensively whispered. "You laughed at me years ago. You humiliated me when you thought I was beneath you. You pushed me so hard that I had no choice but to rise above you." There was silence. "Meeting you again? This wasn't revenge. It was closure," Daniel clarified. He turned and walked away. She stepped outside the suite, dazed. Bianca rushed over. "Babe, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." Tracey, dry-mouthed, said, "He's the owner." "Who?" "The waiter. The billionaire is." "Daniel Dikeocha." Bianca blinked, then laughed in silence. "Your poor Daniel from school?" "Yes. He owns everything here. He reminded me of everything I said yesterday and refreshed my memory on how I mocked him in the past." Bianca sighed. "See why I always tell you to watch your mouth. You always act like life won't spin." Tracey broke down quietly. For the first time in her adult life, she felt small. Weeks later, Daniel's story went viral. He appeared on an emotional televised press conference, where he detailed his journey from cleaning floors, washing cars to owning one of the most glamorous hotel chains in the region. His vulnerability, wisdom, and poise struck a chord across generations. "I learned 2 things on my journey," he said. "Never underestimate anyone. And never let bitterness drive you. Grow, rise, and forgive, even if they never say sorry." The video went viral among the youths. Whoever disrespected this man must be weeping in a corner right now. True class is silent. Loud people are often empty. This is why you treat the waiter like the owner. Within hours, clips flooded social media. Influencers reposted with captions like, "This is how you move in silence." Hashtags trended. Hashtag tag from waiter to wealth. Hashtag tag Daniel Dikeocha. Hashtag tag grace over pride. The viewers were stunned, inspired, and humbled. Comment sections overflowed with praise, some even apologizing for how they treated waiters in the past. Daniel had not only reclaimed his story, he'd become a symbol of silent resilience and quiet greatness. Tracey watched it all. Her phone trembled slightly in her hand as the interview played. Each word Daniel spoke pierced through the layers of pride she had built. Tears slid silently down her face, not from embarrassment, but from a deep realization of how far she had fallen from grace, and how blind she had been to the worth of others. Moments later, Bianca burst into Tracey's apartment, phone in hand. "Girl, the whole country knows he owns the hotel. That waiter, he's him." Tracey didn't speak. Her eyes were red. Makeup smeared. She looked like a broken mirror. "This is your chance. Apologize publicly. Make it a redemption arc. People like you don't get second chances often. Don't waste this one." Bianca advised. "I didn't just hurt a billionaire. I hurt a good man," repeatedly. "And it was never about money," Tracey said. Tracey later wrote an email. Not a text message. "Dear Daniel, I don't expect a response. I don't even expect forgiveness. But I needed you to know that I see now how small I was trying to look big. Your grace shamed me more than your power ever could. Thank you for becoming the man I never believed you could be. Tracey." Then one day, she returned to Dan Ritchie Hotel alone. No heavy makeup. No heels. No designer dress. Daniel sat with her. He was a bit surprised on her looks. "Can I speak to you?" Tracey asked. He nodded. She was remorseful. "I'm sorry." He studied her face. She wasn't faking it. "Why now?" he quietly questioned. Tracey's voice cracking. "Because I've watched myself become the very thing I swore I'd never be, a woman who worshipped status and ignored substance. You were kind to me back then in school. You helped me do projects and wanted friendship, but I was a monster, full of pride. And now, I am ashamed. But more than that, I am proud of you and what you have become, Daniel." She confessed. Silence again. Then, "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted to return your dignity. And mine," she said, as she turned to go. "Tracey." Daniel called quietly. She paused. People change. But scars stay, to remind us not to wound others carelessly. He said. She nodded and left. Months that followed, brands pulled out of Tracey's endorsement deals. Her billionaire ex-fiancé had leaked her private voice notes. A clip of her insulting a domestic staff resurfaced and went viral. She moved out of her penthouse. Her account froze due to a debt case. She lost everything and became so poor that friends abandoned her, even Bianca, her closest. No proper home. No fancy outfits. No car. No more endorsements. She slipped into depression with no one to turn to. One afternoon, while walking on the road, she suddenly collapsed and fainted. A compassionate motorist stopped and rushed to assist her. It was no other person than Daniel, who was on his way home. "No, Daniel, I do not deserve your kindness after all I did to you," she said after regaining consciousness. "No, Tracey, I can't watch you suffer and be ridiculed, no matter what had happened in the past." He helped her into his black SUV. He started his car. reversed from where he parked, and drove straight to a private hospital. She was admitted, proper treatment was given to her, and Daniel paid the bills. After being discharged from the hospital, Daniel took Tracey to a new apartment located in a decent neighborhood and gifted it to her. At that point, she was short of words and could not believe Daniel's kindness towards her. And that clearly taught her a lesson. In order to get her back to her feet, Daniel later gave her employment in one of his companies as the PA to the manager of a branch. And she gradually bounced back to life. She started a non-profit organization financed by Daniel called Rebuild, where girls from poor backgrounds were helped to gain confidence and skills. She often addressed young girls using her mistakes. I once thought beauty and followers were enough. But now, I teach you what I had to learn the hard way. Value is not worn, it is lived. One day, Daniel attended a youth summit where Tracey was speaking. He sat at the back, unnoticed. After the event, they met outside. "I see you are really working hard. You have really changed, Tracey," he said. "And?" she asked. "And it humbled me too. You have completely transformed to a better person." She looked up, surprised. He continued, "Because power without compassion becomes pride. And I almost let yours infect me." They stood in silence. "Thank you for not destroying or rejecting me when I needed support." Tracey said, "Yes, I might played a role, but you achieved all these on your own and you also rebuilt yourself. I am proud of you." "Friends," Daniel said. She nodded. "Friends." From that moment, her story, no longer one of shame, but of growth. She humiliated the waiter, not knowing he owned the hotel. But he forgave her, not because she deserved it, but because he had grown too big to be bitter. Kindness is the true mark of power. In life, never look down on anyone, because the waiter you despise today may be the king you kneel before tomorrow. Kindness costs nothing. Arrogance, it can cost you everything. And sometimes, poetic justice isn't served with revenge, but with grace that heals, humbles, and transforms both the offender and the offended. Life has a way of turning tables when we least expect it. The girl who laughed ended up crying. The man she mocked was the one with the crown all along. And in the end, it wasn't revenge that won, it was grace, hidden in humility. Let this story remind us all, never judge a soul by their shoes, nor measure a man by the job he holds. Thank you for watching this emotional journey, only here on African Tales by Bro Divine, where every story leaves a lesson and every voice is heard. If this story touched your heart, don't just scroll, like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment below and let us know what part of the story hit you the most. Until our next tale, keep your heart open and your mind kind. This is African Tales by Bro Divine, where every tale is more than just a story, it's a mirror of life. Thanks and remain blessed.